Ralph Rosenberg, former state senator, and my boss. Ralph Rosenberg. He had his back to me. Don't do that, Ralph. All right, so thank you all for coming. Thanks to Ed for the great music, Ed Fallon. Ed's got a little announcement for us, so I said he could start off the program with that.
Thank you, Beth, and wow, wonderful it is to have Beth still in office years after we served together a long time ago. You're doing great work. So I just want to say that Bold, Iowa is organizing an extensive bird dogging effort on climate change. We want to make sure all the candidates don't just say climate change, but they really, really mean it, and they really want to prioritize it. We have about 179 people statewide now who are going to events and pushing them hard on climate action. So there's a few people here who are involved with that, so thank you. If you'd like to help with that, we need more help because, I mean, in March alone, 83 candidate events. We are like ground zero for the presidential campaign. And it's a great opportunity and it's a huge responsibility too. So if you'd like to help with that, we could use some help. You can just find me around here and I'll just take your contact information and we'll sign you up. Thank you.
Thanks to Ed for all the work you do outside of, since you've left the legislature. I mean, you continue your involvement and we all really appreciate it. We're going to do things a little bit backwards here today because our Pass the Hat guy has to leave a little early. So we have two people that come up for Pass the Hat. We're going to have Tom Jackson, who's in a conversation right now. So he's busy. He's coming. He's just getting it all checked out. He's attention to detail. Tom Jackson is my treasurer, and he's going to give us the rules. And then Ted Rasmussen, our new Story County treasurer. Oh, and I missed him in introductions. New Story County treasurer is going to come up and do the hat pass. So the two of them.
Okay, I've just been consulting with various authorities about changes in the rules. And I'm still not entirely certain, but I'm going to go with their advice. So this is the notice that is required to be for fundraising, and notice at a fundraising event. This is Iowa Administrative Rule 4.30, parentheses 4. Pursuant to Iowa Code, blah, 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 shall be advised that it is illegal to make a contribution in excess of, the question is it $10 or $25? Unless the person making the contribution also provides the person's name and address. Notice of the requirement to provide a person's name shall be made orally, right now, or in written statement displayed at the table. On John Klaus's advice, I'm going with $25.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Ted Rasmussen. I'm your newly elected Story County Treasurer. So, you all just heard the ruling, so I think that means everybody needs to pull out $25 cash and dump it in the hats so they're overflowing. And I think you know, it'd be really neat if they were all ones. So if anybody carries 25 ones, let's make those hats look like a leprechaun's pot of gold, overflowing with money. So I did just want to tell you all, because it is almost the end of March, I am the county treasurer. I am hoping everyone has sent in their property tax to our office. I don't want to have to charge anybody late fees on that. That is due next Friday. And as we pass around the hat, I did just want to make one quick statement about a House file, a House Study Bill, House Study Bill 165, that we hear some boos, so some people are already aware of it. They're trying to change the way we can levy our property taxes for local governments, local municipalities. Basically, The House and Senate Republicans have cut as much as they can from the state budget for education, cut as much as they can from the state budget for anything that helps people. So now they want to lower what we can levy to make sure that we provide people with good services, good schools, fix potholes, keep the roads running. If you get a chance, our two wonderful Ames representatives, I'm sure, are working to get rid of this bill. But if you get a chance to talk to another legislator, tell them, do not mess with the way we can levy our taxes and we can keep our local communities well-funded and moving forward. And it looks like all of the hats are, oh, there's one more hat if anybody wants to throw in their $25. Otherwise, thanks a lot, everyone, for coming out. Thank you, Beth, for having me. Go Iowa State women tonight, and hopefully we have a good event. Thanks, Beth.
People always ask me why I do this over spring break during the NCAA tournaments. Because you guys show up. So thank you very much for doing that. I appreciate it. It's been such a great event for me over the last few years that I've been in office, and I really appreciate everybody working and coming to it. These two young women that you saw passing the hat, those are Marcia Thompson's granddaughters. So thank you very much for visiting us and helping out tonight. And then the tall one, that's my son, Robbie. Not around a whole lot, but he is going back to that other university tomorrow. He's on spring break. So we're happy to have him home for a short while. Thank you, Robbie. So I've been getting lots of condolences from all of you. Thank you. And asking, how do you do it? I do think that I have some internal constant optimism. The glass is always half full about me. It's just in my personality that, maybe we're going to get there next year. I feel confident we're going to get there next year. But the goal is to get to 51. We are fighting every single battle again this year. I mean, every single one. The judicial nominations. We have one of the most highly regarded judicial nominating systems in the country, and they're trying to politicize it because they don't like the marriage equality decisions. They don't like the decisions on a woman's right to her own privacy and making her healthcare decisions. So the judicial nominating process is at risk of becoming politicized. We have another voter suppression bill in front of us, which hits us here in Ames and hits Iowa State University students, hits the University of Iowa students, I'll admit it, and UNI students, that says you cannot vote on state property. How ridiculous is that? How ridiculous is that? Good news, we have passed out, and I am hopeful that we are going to restore felon voting rights. The governor can do that. She can write an executive order. Governor Vilsack and Governor Culver both use that process. Governor Reynolds has been doing it person by person. And I, give her credit that she's going for a constitutional amendment which would change it altogether, and it's the only way to change it officially and permanently. And so we are working on that. I do know there are Republicans who are opposed, so it goes a little slower. There are plenty of votes in the House to pass it, but we do need to get it to the floor. I anticipate that next week I will, and this picture over here is kind of bothering me, but they tell me that good art is supposed to disturb me. And I'm working on a bill, or against a bill, that would allow guns, a concealed weapon carry gun, up to the door of a school. Into our county courthouses, and require employers to allow guns in locked cars on their property when employees are working. I don't know when we've had enough, but we've had enough. These are things that, after weeks like this or sessions like this, I'm very thankful for having nice, quiet Fridays to kind of recenter and rethink, how can we fight this? But I am optimistic that things are going to change. We did pass, I voted against it, but we passed a very meager start to children's mental health program. We did that on Thursday? And so, I voted against it because I thought it didn't go far enough. But it's a start, and I'm happy for that. We need 51 votes in the Iowa House. I am proud to say that during the last election cycle, I didn't spend one dime on my election. I live in a fairly decent district, and my election is, this time my opponent moved to Colorado in August, and I knew it, because it's a small town, and when people move that are running for office, people tell you. And so I was fortunate to know that. I was fortunate to know that I didn't have a big fight on my hands. And so I was able to put all the money I raised into the House Truman Fund. And the purpose of that was to elect people like Heather Matson. Heather Matson is a first-time state representative from Ankeny, and she's going to be our keynote speaker tonight. So come on up, Heather. It's been a joy working with you.
I don't normally speak with a podium, so it feels really fancy and formal. Thank you so much for welcoming me to Story County. I'm always happy to be up in Ames, so it's great to see so many familiar faces and people that I've known for a long time, and also get to meet even more new friends. I also want to you already know how awesome Beth is, because you keep re-electing her, and she is clearly one of the most genuine people any of us have ever met. And I mean that very much. So the committee that I wanted most of all, more than anything, was Human Resources. And I am very fortunate that I got my first choice, and I am even more fortunate that Beth Wessel-Kroeschell is the ranking member of Human Resources. So we get to spend a lot of time together, and she is my mentor on the committee, and also just in the chamber in general. And so thank you for continuing to send her to the Iowa House, because Iowa is so much better because of it, and I will be an even better legislator because of it. So thank you. So I love how Beth said that even when we have really tough weeks, we can still be optimistic. I am also an eternal optimist. And I have this weird level of pragmatism that goes along with it, but no matter what, I'm always like, there's still a chance we can win this vote. Even when I know it's not going to happen, but I'm like, maybe this time. No, not this time. But I know that if we get to 51, we will win votes, and more importantly, there will be things that we don't have to vote on. We won't have to have all these votes on guns. We won't have to have conversations on whether or not there should be monuments to abortion victims on the state capitol grounds. I mean, that was actually a bill that was introduced. I'm not making it up because, I mean, who could? But there is a lot of stuff that I've discovered that comes up in session that I never expected. I've discovered there's a lot of governing by anecdote. There's a lot of governing by revenge. None of these seem like good ways to do public policy, so it would be really great if we could get to 51 and have reasonable conversations about things that actually help Iowans. And that's why you're here today, and why I'm here today, and why we need to keep fighting for the next 2 years. So, Beth mentioned that I am a new legislator from Ankeny, and I was incredibly fortunate to beat a 5-term incumbent last fall. Yeah, it felt really good. So I'll mention that I ran for the first time in 2016, and there are some of you in the room that I've known for a long time and have been great supporters of mine for a long time. And 2016 was a really tough year. I mean, none of us are going to forget that anytime soon. And I lost by 1,500 votes. And it was crushing, in part because, I mean, who wants to run for I ran for like 600 days. Who wants to run for that amount of time and then lose? Right, no one's counting. No one is counting. No, not me. So no one wants that to happen, right? And after that happened, I thought, this is embarrassing. I can't believe I lost, and I did all of this hard work, and I still didn't make it, and all of these people believed in me, and it still didn't happen. And so I stepped back a little bit from politics, and I did some other things, and over the course of 2017, I was just thinking about how nothing had changed. And things were just getting worse. And how could I just continue to stay to the side if I had an opportunity to run a second time, having built this name ID, having done all of this legwork, and then just let it go? So I decided to run again, and certainly that paid off. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about what it takes to win in these tough seats, and how you can help and why it matters that you're here supporting Beth and really helping all Iowa House Democrats. So when people ask me, how did you win? I'll say doors, 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 and money. So I had a primary opponent. So starting in late February of 2018, I started knocking doors. And over the course of the election, unless there was something going on that night that I needed to be at an event or something for my kids, I was knocking 5 or 6 days a week. And yeah, even in the snow, even in the rain, none of these things are fun, but you do it anyway. But I had a lot of really wonderful volunteers that were also driving me around so that I wasn't completely freezing in the snow. But we knocked, with the help of some army of volunteers, we knocked about 20,000 doors. Yeah, we did. So we were able to make roughly 3 complete passes of our universe, plus groups like Let America Vote were knocking doors, and they were knocking doors in my district for me, plus the coordinated campaign and all of these other things. So when you think of what does it take to win, it takes talking to people, and it takes meeting people where they are at and having very thoughtful conversations about what matters to them. And what I told people at the doors, and I still continue to tell people if they're emailing me now, especially if they're not happy with a vote that I took on guns or something else, is that what I told you at the doors was that it's not possible for us to agree on everything. But I will always be honest with you about where I stand. And if you are unhappy with the way things are going in state government right now, then I ask you to give me a chance. And I think that's how we won. The other piece that I wanted to mention, of course, is the fundraising. It is a huge component, and I know it's something that a lot of people don't like to talk about, but I think it's important that we do talk about it, because the truth is that campaigns take resources, and they are an investment. I tell people all the time that campaigns are an investment in our shared ideals, right? Like, if we want things to change in the legislature or in state government, we have to be willing to say we want to be a part of making that happen. And so I'm so glad that you are all here today to support Beth and to support Iowa House Democrats, because it is an investment in our shared ideals so that we can get to a state government that we want and that we know actually helps everyday Iowans. So the other part of the money piece was basically being able to go on television. So that was a big part of winning too, because if people don't see you, it's really hard for them to get to know you. And I was very fortunate that we had the resources to do that. I personally raised about $144,000 for this race. And I don't say that to brag, like, in any way. It's just in knowing that that's what it takes, right, to win in a very competitive district. And that was just my portion of it, because of other legislators like Beth who are contributing to the Truman Fund. It all kind of comes together so that we can focus on the races that we need to win in order to get to the majority. And that's how you guys are able to help. So thank you for that. And the other piece was just, I wanted to give an extra special thank you to Flip It Iowa, and I know a lot of you have been involved with that too. That was a big part of so many of us being successful in 2018 and flipping so many seats. So in Polk County, we flipped 4 suburban seats in Polk County. So it was me, Kristen Sunday, yes, Karen Derry, and Jennifer Confrist. And because of folks like you who live in, relatively safe district and are super passionate about democratic politics and getting really good people elected, you're like, all right, let's go beyond what we do for our own legislators and recognize that if we want to get our state to where we want it to be, we need to be thinking about the whole state. And so we had a great event in Ames last summer, and it was amazing. And you guys just came out and helped, and I know I'm not the only candidate that you did it for. So thank you for being a part of that already. And Flip It will continue doing these campaigns, doing these fundraisers into 2020. So kind of keep an eye out for that. So the other piece, so Beth of course talked about how we need to get to 51, right? Because if we do not get to 51, then we keep still just having to, spin our wheels and vote on things that are not actually productive and just take the state backward. So what we need to do, first of all, is hold the seats that we just won. So I only won by 500 votes, folks. It is not an easy district. And there are some in Polk County, our Karen Derry, who won in Johnston, it was even closer. Right, so it's making sure, first and foremost, that we don't go backward and we hold these seats. And the other thing is, of course, finding the other 5 districts. And I will tell you that our path to the majority is in the suburbs. And there are a few races that we very narrowly lost last time, that if the person who ran last time runs again, I think that we have a chance to win. And there are some others where if the incumbent chooses not to run again, which is a very distinct possibility, then we have a really great chance, especially if the person who ran last time wins again. So one seat that I'm really hopeful about in particular is the other side of Ankeny. There was a lot of talk last year about how we'd never win House District 37. So I'm in 38, which is the south side. 37 is the north side and goes up to the Story County line. So the idea was that we were never going to win, but I will tell you that we only lost that House seat by 825 votes. I lost my first race by 1,500 votes, and we thought we could win that district. Right, so just think about what that possibility is now. And Representative Landon, while a very nice man, isn't doing himself any favors with some of the votes he's taking, and so I think we are in a really good position for that seat. And there are a number of other ones as well. And so I also just wanted to talk a little bit about if you have the ability to do this, and I think we all do, is think about beyond coming to this event tonight, what else you want to do to make sure not only that Beth gets reelected, and Lisa for that matter too, and then making sure that we have the resources to get to 51. Is please consider doing a monthly donation. Whether it's $5, $10, $20, whatever works for your budget, you just get it set up, and then you don't have to worry about it, and you know that those resources are actually going to help, and you can just feel really good about it. I always think about it, like when I think about giving to public radio or public television, like it's just done. So I hope you'll consider doing that, and I'm sure Beth has an ActBlue account to make it very easy. And I would be more than happy to take questions and all of that, but I also would just be happy to mingle around whatever makes the most sense and just say thank you really for everyone for being here.
So on Human Resources, this is interesting. Our caucus, so the Democrats on Human Resources, there are 10 of us. And out of the 10, 9 are women and 5 are freshmen. So it is a really fun caucus to be in, and we have all agreed to be nice to John Forbes. We try and be as gentle as possible. But yeah, exactly. We have great new legislators, and Heather is such an incredible example of that. And great new legislators who really struggled. I mean, they didn't win easily. None of them did, as far as I can tell. Some of them ran again. Jennifer Confirst is one that ran twice. She scared off her primary of her first opponent, not her primary, her first opponent, who was the majority leader, Chris Hagenow. He had to move out of the district because he knew what a challenge she was. And she won pretty handily. But it's still a difficult district. And we also had Karen Derry, as you mentioned, tough district. There isn't a single soul who thought that she was going to win. Not a single soul. There was a flip-it event for her here in Ames, and I did go to that one. And she said, I quit my job to run for this. And I thought, what is she thinking? What is she thinking? I mean, this guy's going to win because it's a Republican district, and she won. I mean, nobody thought she was going to win that. So we kind of have to get that out of our mind that we can't win these districts, and just put the door knocking into it, the willingness to listen. I think that for anybody, for any race, I mean, certainly nobody agrees with me on everything. I did get one person who said they did this week in an email. But he may not know everything I vote on, so I'm pretty sure. But it's really nice to have that kind of confidence from my from constituencies. But nobody agrees on everything. You know, you just can't. And so being willing to listen, and I know our new people are going after these some more races in the suburbs. And certainly we all know that Democrats have to work on a rural agenda. And we know that, and working to find out what it is that we're missing in rural Iowa. So, thank you all so much for coming and bringing food, bringing drink, spending part of your spring break with me at the very end of it, and for all your support and continued support. I do have an ActBlue account, so if you want to set up a continuing contribution, that would be terrific. And please feel free to go get some more food and drink, and Heather will be around for a little bit. So thank you.